I'm wondering how long the filming took, and I'm looking at the way that you guys filmed, and you guys were in a car together a ton of time, I imagine. And you're going on ride-alongs, and all of this is happening. What subject matter or logistics or both can you, whoever wants to take this, and multiple of you can, please. What can you talk a little bit about the challenges that came with filming this documentary? Because it is remarkable how I think it is remarkable the process, just watching the process.
Yeah, well, the main thing I'd say, and it's going to sound kind of corny, but trust. They needed to trust what I was doing, and I warned them on day one that I would come back again and again and again and again. And in typical Texas hospitality, they said, no problem. I said, no, you don't understand. You're going to be really tired of me. And my worry was being in that car for so long, because we just did hours and hours and hours and hours. I mean, we shot for 2 years off and on. So I was worried about claustrophobia, like people feeling they were trapped in this space. But it was a wonderful surprise because what came out of it was the banter that happens when 2 people spend that much time together, which is kind of a lot of the humor came from that, which I think was really important to the story. So that was a challenge, but it turned into a good thing. But I'll let them talk about what it was like to have me follow them.
Yeah, so as most police officers, I would imagine, in this country, anytime we get told we're going to have riders, we're like, oh, here we go. But again, as you saw towards the end, we were used to getting some media or publicity about the work that we were doing in San Antonio. And so doing interviews or having quick ride-alongs was pretty normal. The good thing about Jen when she came is she was a fellow New Yorker, sorry. And so
protect him here.
So, no, but she explained her vision very early on. And so for me, it was more than just what everyone else was doing was short snips, and it was quick clips, and it would lead to someone else being interested in something else. And but it was always about whatever their agenda was next. And with Jen, I think there was, for the first time, it really made sense about what the global mission really is behind this film, and it was very easy to buy into that. And then again, very lucky that we have a department that was kind of like, I don't know what's happening necessarily, but yeah, go ahead. Have at it. And they really just allowed her access into quite a bit of our world and what we were doing. And so that we were very fortunate for that.
The question for everybody to just in case you couldn't hear that is, how did you get Kendra to agree to be filmed and to agree to, sort of have the follow-up filming?
Well, when the first step was wanting to include the dash cam footage, because says it all. I mean, that's what they're doing without a very obvious presence from me. And they were in uniform, which I thought was actually really important because the number one de-escalation tool, I think both Ernie and Joe would say, is being in plain clothes. So to see it work in a positive way, even in uniform, was really important. But the last thing I wanted to do was use someone's worst day in a film without them being fully aware that I was doing that. And I needed her permission. Kudos to San Antonio, said, she can get the dashboard, not you, which was great. And she did. And I talked to her about it and said, are you sure? Like, this is why I want to use it. It's not meant to be exploitive, but people need to understand. And she got it immediately. And I was actually very emotional for me because not only did she say use it, but she said, please use it. People need to understand how I end up on a bridge, And then after that, I said, would you be willing to let us follow you visits when Ernie and Joe were there? And she said, yeah. And so, it's always a struggle for her. I pray she's still doing okay. As of recently, she's doing fine. And she'll be seeing the film. I wanted to see it with her and Ernie and Joe together, so we're going to do that next month in San Antonio.
So wonderfully anti-racist film, white officers in the lead. So I just wondered about 2 things. Your decision as a director not to mention race at all, and whether in you guys' training of other officers, etc., do you talk about race, or that's only about human beings beyond race?
Yeah, no, that was actually a conscious decision. Because in terms of my role, I felt like there's been a lot of excellent films made about what's wrong with policing. And they all had to be made, and they're all worth seeing. But I wanted this to be a more solution-based film. And because it was Texas and 2 white officers, it's unexpected, it's counterintuitive, and it's hopeful. And at the end of the day, that's what I want to, I don't want to sugarcoat things, but I want to give us some hope because damn, do we need it, and other things.
Yeah, and I think, so do we teach race during our schools? There's a class on cultural backgrounds, cultural differences. It comes up. I wouldn't say it's anything that's really an extensive course on race specific, but I think beyond that, it's almost what's more significant is the fact that we don't drive it home, because for us, and what you see in the film is really what we focus on, just like when I said, like when in law enforcement, we hear things or we tend to focus on behaviors. So I teach everyone that I get to about how our eyes deceive us, right? What we see is not actually the truth. If you just focus on what you're looking at, if you just focus on behaviors alone, you're going to miss an opportunity to truly help somebody. So we have to get underneath that. We have to find out what's causing that behavior. And that is regardless of race. That's regardless of gender. That's regardless of everything, is underneath every single one of us. We have a why in that moment. And so if we can understand what that is, that's where we have the opportunity. And so it's really, that's the part that we drive home more than focusing on race or not. It's person first always, and then don't necessarily focus so much on what the behavior is, because if we react to the behavior, that's where we tend to get in trouble.
How do you get that buy-in from sort of the higher ups in departments?
Stuff at McManus.
Yeah, so for us, it was very easy with Chief McManus, and he came from other agencies. He was in D.C. for a while, so he actually knew of CIT when he came to San Antonio. The buy-in from the top is very easy normally, because again, you can look at this and see how it makes sense. It's very easy, whether it's a political gain, if you're elected, or if you're a police chief, and it's like, hey, I want best for my agency. And again, from a PR standpoint, like how can you not get behind, like, we're going to do better for our community? The biggest gap is in that mid-management level. And so it's easy to get buy-in on the cadet side because they're new, their minds are moldable, and we can get them to buy into it very easily. It's very interesting now when we do the cadets, and more of them are coming up saying, how do I get on this unit? I want to just come straight to this unit. And we're like, you can't. You've got to get some experience first. But Chief McManus, very progressive police chief for us. We're very grateful for that. He absolutely buys into mental health. He gets it. He's supportive of us. Again, when other units internally in our department were disbanding and being sent back to patrol because of manpower shortages, we were growing. And so he fully buys into what we're doing on mental health. And so again, we're lucky because we know that that's not universal.